Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. I'm so sorry if you're getting sick of seeing this t-shirt. I am filming several videos today and I just can't be bothered to change, it's too warm. Sorry, at least it's a cute one, right? Anyway, so this is my May TBR and this is the first TBR where I'm going to trial this little snakes and ladders idea. So if you haven't seen my last video where I tell you about the snakes and ladders TBR thing, you can watch it down below, I'll link it. I'm also doing Mentalhealthathon this month, which is a fantastic readathon hosted by the lovely Nicole from Beautiful Chaos of Books, and also Kate from Chapter Kate, I believe. And this is essentially a readathon all about reading books to do with mental health representation. So there's a whole bunch of challenges and prompts, which I'll link down below. I'll link it to Nicole's announcement video and I'll also link to the Twitter. There's hundreds of recommendations on the Twitter, so if you want to take part, it's not too late. Just go have a look at it. It takes place for the entirety of May, so plenty of time to read them, and it's just going to be really good fun. So the way I've done this is I played my Snakes and Ladders first, and then I looked at all the mental health books I had, and I saw if I could double up on any of them with those challenges, and then I filled in the gaps for the mental health ones. So I'm going to cut now to the footage of me playing the Snakes and Ladders. Okay, so here we are at the very start. Let's see what we get. A 2. Waka 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 waka. I'm straight onto a ladder. She's good. And I've got random cover colour. So for this one, I'm going to randomly generate a colour. And then I have to pick a book to read with that colour cover. So as you just saw, the first space I landed on was random cover colour, which is where I randomly generate a cover. I randomly generated green, which is great because I actually fit in with one of the books I was planning on reading, and that is Let Me Lie by Clare Mackintosh. So this is a thriller and it has mental health representation, so it's one of my Mentalhealthathon books. It is fulfilling, I believe, the challenge about personality disorder. After I've done this little Snakes and Ladders segment, I'm going to go through the mental health ones at the end, so it's really clear which ones I'm reading for that. But anyway, this is a thriller about Anna, and Anna's parents both committed suicide. It's many years later, and she decides to investigate her parents' death and to find out what really happened and whether it was really suicide. I've heard good things about the author. I've lost track of which ones of her 3 books are meant to be good, because I know she's got 3 and they've all got similar titles. So there's also I See You and I Let You Go, I think. And I think this is one of the ones that is considered one of her better ones. Yes, I'm quite excited to read this. So the next one is a 1. I'm not rolling very well, am I? And that is to read a 2018 release. So that is any book on my TBR that's released in 2018. Okay, so that space was 2018 release, and for this I have picked Broken Things by Lauren Oliver. This is one of the ones I'm more skeptical about. This is about 3 girls who were really close friends and they became obsessed with this fantasy book, and one of them gets murdered and the rest of the town and the police and everyone thinks that the other 2 girls did it because of this fantasy book. However, they didn't do it. So it's kind of a thriller based around that. It's young adult. I don't think it's got any mental health representation, but I don't know until I read it, so it potentially has. From that premise, it might do. This has got quite bad reviews, and I do think I'll like it, but I don't think I will like it. That doesn't make any sense, but basically I've never enjoyed a Lauren Oliver book particularly, and they always sound really great and they're always a disappointment, but I couldn't take this off my TBR. It sounds too interesting, so I'm going to read it and hopefully I'll enjoy it. Ooh, so that is a 3. So 1, 2, 3. That is to read a book with a family member in the title. So this can be mum, sister, brother, husband, wife, anything like that. I've just got to pick one with one of those words in the title. Okay, so the next square was to read a book with a family member in the title. I have picked The Favourite Sister by Jessica Knoll. This has got one of my favourite covers. I remember when this was in the window of Waterstones. Literally every time I walked past it, it caught my eye. I think it's really nice. So this is a thriller about two sisters who I believe take part in a reality TV show called Gold Diggers, and there's like 5 people who take part in this show, and it says on the back that the producers expect all the usual reality star chaos stuff, but they don't expect murder. So it's going to be about sisterly rivalry and murder in a reality TV show and all that stuff. I enjoy reality TV, not all of it, and I try really hard not to, but stuff where it's not very mean-spirited. So, for example, Love Island, utter trash, but people tend not to be too horrible to each other. That kind of stuff is the type of reality TV that I just really enjoy binging when I'm super stressed. So a thriller taking place in a reality TV show sounds really cool. I have a feeling, I remember this has got really bad reviews also, but again, with the premise I just couldn't take it off my TBR, so hopefully it'll be alright. See if I can roll the 4 and keep this trend going. Oh. I've rolled a 6, yay, first 6. Let's see where I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh. And I've landed on non-fiction book. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. So I landed on the non-fiction square, which I have so many non-fiction books to read. The one I've picked, though, is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Joseph Lanza. This I have an arc of, and I requested it on NetGalley. I've never seen The Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's not my type of horror movie. However, I'm very, very interested in horror movies. I'm very interested in how they are influenced and how they influence the world around them. And this book is particularly about the influence of that movie. And it just sounded really interesting. I thought I'd give it a go, even though I haven't seen the movie, because I know enough about the movie to know what it's talking about. So yeah, hopefully I'll get around to that. Okay, so about halfway up the board, let's see what we get. Oop, that is a 2. Waka waka, waka waka. Another ladder, excellent. And even better, that ladder leads to horror, so I just have to pick a horror book for that one. So I landed on horror, which is one of my favourite genres, and after some deliberation, I have picked Dreamwoods by Patrick Lacey. So this is one of my Kindle Unlimited books that I just haven't got around to reading yet. And this is about a man who sees an advert for this theme park called Dreamwoods, and it's described as like basically a fake Disneyland. And it closed down years and years ago, and there's loads of rumours about why it closed down. Like, there was cults involved, there was murder, there was all this dodgy stuff. But he sees this advert and his family is like troubled, so his wife is maybe going to leave him, and there's lots of stuff going on. And he decides that the best way to salvage his family is to take them on a trip to this theme park. However, it is a horror book, and this theme park is not going to be what it seems, so it sounds perfect. I love horror books about theme parks. I read Fantasticland last year, which is also a Kindle Unlimited book. I think it's Kindle Unlimited. I got it on the Kindle, and that was everything I wanted and more. So I'm hoping that this has a similar vibe to it, and it just sounds really up my street. Okay, final throw of this month. Let's hope it's a good one. A 1. And I go to 2-word title. So as it says, I've just got to pick a book with 2 words in its title. So the final prompt from this TBR board was a 2-word title. This isn't really cheating, but I've picked Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. So this is one of my mental health rep books. This is about 2 siblings who fall in love with the same girl, and one's a boy and one's a girl, and the brother has also got bipolar disorder and is living with that. I've heard really good things. I'm not sure it's 100% my type of book because it is a contemporary and I tend not to read those, but it has been on my TBR and on my radar for quite some time, and I think I will really enjoy it, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so that is all the TBR Snakes and Ladders prompts. I only got to tie 2 of those in with the 2 of those in with the mental healthathon, so now I'm going to go through the rest of the mental healthathon challenges and prompts and explain what I'm reading for those. So I'm combining the first 2 prompts, which are own voices and to read a non-fiction book, and I'm actually doing a reread of a book I read a long time ago. That's It's Not Me, It's You by John Richardson. This I kind of went back and forth on because John Richardson did a documentary about OCD, which is what he kind of lives with, and he wasn't actually diagnosed with OCD. However, if you've read this book and if you hear anything about like his comedy shows, how he talks about life, as far as I'm concerned, he does have OCD, and from my own experiences with OCD and how he talks, this book really resonates with me, so I'm counting it because yeah. So this is also for the prompt for OCD as well, and there's like a prompt for almost every mental disorder, which you'll see as I go through the list. But yeah, this is just his autobiography. It's really interesting, it's quite entertaining. He's a comedian, if you don't know, he's a British comedian. I really like his shows. I haven't seen him for anything, but he's most well known probably for 8 out of 10 Cats. He talks about things in such an interesting way, and for me personally, I do have OCD, and I read this when I was quite young, and I hadn't really labelled myself or been diagnosed with anything, and I felt such a strong connection to him through this book because how he describes things is exactly how I feel things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to rereading it. It's been a couple of years. I'm intrigued to see what I make of it now. Next book is also fulfilling several different prompts. So it is fulfilling anxiety, intersectional rep, which is to read a book that has representation of a different kind, be it person of colour, be it queer, etc. And this could also do the OCD one, I believe. And that is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. This was on my books that I really want to read in 2018. I think it was on my authors that I really want to read in 2019 specifically, not 2018, 2019. I know what year it is. So this is about a normal guy living in a world where superheroes exist and other fantastical things exist, and it's just him, I guess, coming to terms with the fact that he's normal in this abnormal world. That's all I really know about it, apart from the rep that it has. I think it sounds like a really interesting premise, and I've wanted to read Patrick Ness for a while, so I'm glad I've got an excuse to finally read this. So the next prompt is Schizophrenia, and this actually led me to a book that I'd forgotten I bought ages ago, and that is Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. First of all, this has got a gorgeous cover. Second of all, this is about a girl who's got schizophrenia called Alex, and she basically can't tell what's real and what's not, so she has her own little system for working out what's real. She meets a guy and starts to fall in love with him, but she can't work out if he's real or not, and I think that's the premise. I thought I heard some problematic stuff about this years and years ago, and I couldn't find it from a quick look, but it's made me slightly apprehensive. However, I have wanted to read this for ages. I forgot how interested I was in the premise. And I've got a couple of other schizophrenia books that I read years ago, but I don't really want to reread those, but they're very good, so I'm going to do a separate video where I do some mental health recommendations, and I'm going to talk about them in there. But yeah, this is my choice for this. Next we have the bipolar prompt, which, as I already said, I'm reading Little and Lion for that, and this could also count as intersectional rep too. So the next prompt is to pick one of the hosts' pick for a book. Each of the 3 hosts has picked a book that they recommend. I have picked Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo to read out of these ones. I wanted to read this for ages. This also covers the PTSD rep. This is a fantasy book about a kind of group of misfits who go on a heist of some description, and that's all I know about it. This is loved by many people, and I bought the audiobook on sale recently from Audible. They had like a 2-for-1 deal, and I was really happy I managed to pick it up, so I'll probably listen to this in audiobook format. But yeah, again, really excited to have an excuse to read this book because it has been on my TBR forever. So next we have the personality disorder prompt, and again I'm reading Let Me Lie for that, just to make it super clear. The final book I'm going to talk about now is Paperweight by Meg Haston. This is the eating disorders and also the depression book. I'm not 100% sure on the depression thing, so I might have to look for another book if it turns out this doesn't have depression rabbit in it. But this is about a girl who has got an eating disorder and she gets sent to a treatment clinic. And the clinic is a 60-day program. However, unknown to anyone else, she is planning to kill herself after 27 days because that's the anniversary of her brother's death and she feels guilt about being responsible for her brother's death. This is another one that's been on my TBR absolutely ages and I just never got around to reading because I don't really read contemporaries that often. So, this is definitely going to be one of the ones that I think is one of the more intense ones to read. And I might have to emotionally prepare myself for. So there are a few more prompts that I'm not sure what I'm doing for yet. I basically have procrastinated this to the last minute because April's just gone so quickly for me. I don't really know what happened. It's just like gone. I can't believe it's over already. But anyway, so the other prompts are phobias. I know of one book about phobias, which is the semi-definitive list of worst nightmares, but I already read it and I didn't particularly enjoy it, so I don't want to read that again. The other prompt is the other prompt, which is to read about another kind of representation. I've got a couple of books about synesthesia. I can't say it. You know, when people experience things as other senses, so like they can taste words, for example. I'll probably pick one of those for this prompt, but I'm not sure yet which. I haven't had the chance to look at them properly. And there's also the group book, which I know is called Sparrows, but I don't know anything else about it, so I'll probably end up picking up that as well, because I'd quite like to talk to people about it, but I haven't had time to research it yet. Nicole will explain it, I'm sure, much better in her video, which, as I said, will be linked down below. But yeah, so those are all the books I'm planning to read for May / the Mental Healthathon. I've also got a couple of arcs and stuff that I'll probably read around that. I haven't totaled up how many books this is, but I usually read about between 13 and 15 books a month at the moment, so there's some wiggle room for various things. Do let me know if you're taking part in the Mental Healthathon. I know I'm following the Twitter and I know a bunch of people that I watch / stalk on Twitter are taking part, so it'd be really cool to talk about books. So yeah, this is basically the messiest TBR video I think I've filmed to date, but hopefully you get a good idea of what I'm planning to read. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, it helps me out massively, and I hope to see you next time.